Hello folks, I'm back out in the garage again today. This is going to be a bit of a longer video because my goal for this video is to hear this truck run. And when I mean run, I don't mean just pouring some gas down the throttle body. I mean start up and run. So like I said, it's going to be a little bit longer. First thing I'm going to start out with is the cooling system to make sure that it'll actually hold water. As you recall in my last working video, I learned that the gas tank was bad, and I've got some news on that front as well. So I'll bring you right back and bring you along for the ride. As you recall in the last video, the goal was to get this gas tank cleaned out and put back in service. But as you recall, there were big holes in the tank, rendered it absolutely unserviceable. And the fuel sending unit and everything down there was completely rusted apart. And so what I've got now is a brand new tank, a brand new sending unit with fuel pump, connecting hoses, hose clamps, fuel filter. That should be everything that would be needed. That pretty much replaces the whole fuel system with the exception of the throttle body. And I'm hoping and praying that it's good, or at least can be cleaned and put back in service. But like I say, now what I'm going to do is work on seeing whether or not the cooling system will actually hold water. So I'll bring you right back for that. Okay, last time I opened the radiator cap a couple months ago, from what I could tell, it was bone dry. I don't know why, where the water went, or whatever. I did some research, and it is possible for antifreeze to dissipate with time, but it has to be exposed to open air. This system is a closed system, so there's nothing in the reservoir. There's nothing in the radiator that I recall. Let me take it off and make sure. Hello, 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 hello. There's just a little bit of moisture down at the very bottom of the radiator. Nothing that would appear to come from the hose. So I don't know where it could have leaked out at. So what I'm going to do, I've got some antifreeze here. I'm going to put some antifreeze in it and see if I see any notable leaks right from the get-go. I'm going to start off with 1 gallon. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like buying this pre-mixed stuff, personally. You pay, if I remember right, $12, $13, maybe more, for 50-50 stuff. And then you pay about the same, if not a little less, for the stuff that is full strength. Concentrated, they call it. That's some expensive water. But anyway, I'm going to put some in and see if we have any leaks. And then that'll be my goal for today, to find out. I want to know if the radiator is serviceable. If it's not, we can still start it and run it, but we just know that we can't let it run for any long period of time. So let me do that. Pour that in. And see where it goes. I don't see anything coming out yet. I'll get this gallon poured in, and then we'll see if we see anything on the ground underneath the engine. Right into the top, well, pretty much. It's starting to go down a little bit now. Let's see what I see underneath. Good news. I don't see any water coming out anywhere. It's gone down quite a bit now. See anything other than what I spilled over here. The hose is kind of hard, but it is cold out here. It's almost 30 degrees. All right, it sucked all that down. That water went somewhere. All right, that's 2 gallons down. Needs to be holding about where I topped it off at there last time. So I'm going to take it that the cooling system is watertight so far, or airtight, whatever you want to call it, that it's not leaking, but I don't know where it went. That's the puzzling part. And it hasn't been run, so it's not like it was pushed out by pressure. I don't know. As far as I know, in 2010, last time I had this thing running, I did look at the coolant system and it had antifreeze in it. But there's nothing coming out now that I can tell. So I'm going to call this a success for now. And I will top it off. I've got to mix up some more in the house. I'll top it off with some more, and we'll move on to other things. I've got to, well, I'll spin you around and talk about that. But I'll bring you right back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the battery in. I don't know that I'm going to hook it up just yet, but I may, just to see if it spins over. And then I've got to pull this other bracket off of the old tank. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit and spray some spray paint on it just to make it look as similar to the new one that I bought for the front of the tank as possible. And then once I get that done, I've got to locate the bolts for the where it goes in here. I did locate the bolts for the brackets, and it appears that the ones that I have are fine. They're longer, but that's okay, because there's plenty of room there. But you have to remember, this tank was taken off in 2010, so I'm not real sure where exactly I put those bolts. Unfortunately, I didn't put them in the truck, evidently. I'm thinking in my bolt bin over here that you guys have probably seen before. Right there. Yep. Anyway, that's what I've got. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to put the starter in, and I might, like I said, I might see if it turns over, because it has not turned over since 2010. Yeah, that was when it started the last time. So we'll see what happens with that, and then I guess depending on that will depend on whether or not I proceed on with the tank. I'm sure that I will one way or the other, but I mean, if the thing is locked up, then it's going to require more work. So I'll bring you right back. So here's a revolting development. You've got the positive wire, but there's no negative wire anywhere. This is what happens when you leave your vehicle parked somewhere where unsavory characters can get to it. Somebody must have needed a negative wire for one of their trucks or vehicles with a Chevy type terminal, and just decided to have their way with it, I guess. It made me wonder, with the radiator being empty, if that isn't what had happened to the radiator, but I really can't see any evidence where it had been tampered with or taken off. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Right now it is holding water. I don't see any water leaking anywhere, but before I can hook the battery up, I've got to find me a new negative terminal. Back to the part store, I guess. I was messing around with the gas inlet where you fill the tank, just to see what it looked like. I pulled the cap off of it and looked inside, and this is what I found. Let me spin you around here. It's pretty rusty, but I realize it's kind of hard to see, but it's pretty rusty up in there. I guess I've found a use for that vinegar after all. I'm going to take this thing apart and pour the vinegar in a bucket and let this thing soak overnight and see how it looks. Hey folks, this is day 2 of the Will It Run episode. It's about 34 degrees or so outside in the garage, and warming my hands up a little bit and waiting for the coffee to get done. And I'll get to it. I did manage to get a negative wire last night. Not sure if it's going to be thick enough, but we're going to try it anyway. Then get the gas tank in and see if this sucker will run. I've got today to get this done. I've got obligations tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. So today's the day. I need to get this thing fired up and running, I hope. That's the goal for the day. I'll bring you along for the ride. Okay, I made me a hanger for my shop light, so hopefully you guys can see this really dirty engine now. Got the wire. It's not too bad. It was not as thin as I thought it was. About the same as the positive side, so we should be okay. So I just need to find me a bolt to bolt it here to the alternator bracket. I don't see any other place to put it really, but I'll get it bolted to the alternator bracket. And I need to run one from here to the body, and probably use one here and make up a wire Surely I've got some wire laying around here somewhere. But I'll bring you right back when I get this installed and show you what I've got. And then we'll try to turn this thing over. I don't know. I haven't even tried to turn it over by hand. And I know you're not supposed to do this, but I'm just going to try doing it by the starter. See if that works. If it doesn't, then we got more work to do. So I'll be right back. Well, I got good news and I got bad news. Bad news is it took me forever to find some wire to hook up here. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of automotive wire around here, so that's what I had to do. Run 3 strands. Basically, should be about the same as that wire there. So, and then the bolt was missing that goes right here. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find one to match. So I went underneath that bolt, which also is the ground for the headlights. So I'm going to set you up on the tripod and we're going to see if this thing turns over. Good thing is I don't see any smoke yet. So that means, it doesn't mean a darn thing actually. But I'm going to put you on the tripod and we'll see if this thing turns over. Well, as they say, here goes nothing. Well, let me get over here in front of the camera. It does turn over. Very slow. It is a brand new battery, but it is also 30-something degrees out here. We'll go ahead and continue on. If need be, I can get my battery charger back from my neighbor. He's had it borrowed trying to get his Pontiac running. So I'm going to go ahead and press on with the gas tank and we'll see what we can get done by the end of the night. But good news is it does turn over. It's not locked up. That's a good thing. So I'll bring you back when something develops. Okay, I couldn't help myself. I went and took me a little break and warmed my hands up a little bit. I got to thinking about it. I got to know if this thing will spark off at all. So I'm pouring some gas down it. That's probably too much. But let's see if it sparks, makes any noise. Well, folks, I think it's going to run. Once we get the gas tank in, the gas tank, fuel pump, all that kind of stuff, get that in, I think it's going to start up and run just fine. Just the only thing we have to worry about is those 2 injectors there in the throttle body. So it'll definitely, it's got spark, it'll definitely run. So I'll get busy on that gas tank and we'll see if we can get this thing running for good. Okay, we had some snow out here yesterday here in West Virginia, and my garage kind of has the tendency to let the snow blow in, so I covered everything with tape to keep any snow out of it, any moisture. It didn't snow that much, only about maybe a ½ inch is that. But we'll go ahead and pull that off, put the fuel pump sending unit in, the hoses on it, and I've got to go over and clean off that spout that goes in there. See how that came out, and get it ready to go in. I've got the new hanger right there. That's the front. Then the back one is still on the other tank. I've got to pull it off. I was going to try to clean everything up and get it all painted up, but unfortunately with it being this cold out here, I'm afraid that it would take too long. So I'll have to revisit it later on. But I'll let you see me put that in. and get the straps on and start getting ready to go in. Okay, I've got both straps on. Now I'm going to clean out that the inlet. The hoses should be fine. I just got to get them off so that I can clean the metal and get it rinsed out and dried, and get it ready to go in. And under the truck I go with the tank. I've got to clean all. I've got to take the remaining rubber hose off of the actual fuel lines. They were I had bolts stuck in them to keep them from getting dirt daubers and stuff like that in them over the years. And I've got to change that fuel filter, put it up. From what I understand, I've never installed one of these, but from what I understand, you leave these straps loose so that you can maneuver the bolt holes. And then once you get the bolt holes maneuvered, there's supposed to be a hole in the frame where you can get to it to tighten the strap up. We'll see how that goes, but that's where I'm at now. And like I say, I'm gonna clean the inlet hose. I've got it over there soaking in vinegar. Hopefully that got most of the rust off. It was cold last night. I don't know if much work was done with that, but if not, I'll run some sandpaper up in it or something to get it cleaned out. I don't want that stuff going into the tank, the new tank. So bring you back here in just a few minutes. Got the thing here. and it's hard to see. There's not much light here, but the vinegar did help the rust some. On the outside, I was able to get it good and scrubbed down. The inside, right inside there, is pretty clean. I don't think there's anything there that'll flake off and go in the tank. But I'm going to take this thing inside to the man cave there and put it next to the heater and see if I can get this hose off and get in there with a good wire brush and at least get the scaly stuff off. I'm not worried about the just the surface rust on the inside, as long as nothing's going to come off and get in the tank whenever I fill it with gas. So I'll bring you back when I get this done. Well, I put it on top of that old kerosene heater, and seems to help. I was able to get the hose off without damaging it. I did lose the clamp, but I couldn't seem to get it to lighten up or loosen up good enough to get it off. But I'm gonna take this over to the vinegar and scrub it real good with the wire brush on the inside and get as much of that scaly stuff off as I can. Nothing's gone through, thankfully, but definitely needs some help. I wish I had a little bit better light right here for you guys to see, but it's not as bad as it looks right there on the mouth, right in there, but it looks pretty scaly on the inside. So I'm gonna clean it up some and I'll bring it right back. Okay, I've got it about as clean as I can get it. Trying to get you some better light in here. There's really no way to get it in there. You see a little bit. I got as much of the scaly stuff off as I could. There's a little bit right there in the crook that I couldn't get to. I'm thinking that little bit, if it does fall off, it'll not be such a bad thing. Also tried to clean the cap up, but I'm probably going to end up having to replace the filler cap. Not such a big deal, but so my hands are freezing after being in that cold vinegar. I'm going to go warm my hands up and put this thing back on the hose after I need to take it and rinse it and dry it off, get all that vinegar out of there. And that's pretty rough down there in the beginning there, but I'm hoping it'll be all right. I know that filter, that screen will catch a lot of that, and so will the filter, but it shouldn't be enough to keep it from running for a long time. I mean, the thing just doesn't want to lay right at all. But it shouldn't be anything that would stop it from running. So we're going to go ahead and put it back together and start working on the tank. The next thing I want to do is change the filter that's underneath the truck, and that'll give me, I'll have a little bit more room to scoot around underneath there, and then go ahead and try to mount the tank up. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this. This was a pain in the butt. There was the 3 hoses, of course. This one had 2 hose clamps on it with the screwdriver facing up. This one had 1 screwdriver facing up. This one had one of those squeeze clamps on it. That was the easiest one to get off. But lines look a little rusty, so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But especially this one here is the biggest concern. It's the one that goes to the throttle body. I'm hoping it's not like that all the way through. There was screws in the hole, in the hoses. That one's not bad. This one here, little one. But this one is the return, and this one is the feed. So I don't know if we can, yeah, it looks pretty crusty. Matter of fact, it looks full of stuff. I'm gonna run a screwdriver up in there and see if maybe it's just some residual from before the tank, the fuel pump died, and just got it all stuck up in there. How's the other one look? Looks about the same. It's amazing. This one here's the vent line, if I'm understanding it correctly, and that one there is clean as a whistle. And you would think that one would kind of be exposed to the open air. All right, well, wish me luck. Okay, well, I've got one bolt in the tank. It's taken me a long time. I thought that there was supposed to be a bolt hole to tighten up the strap in the front. There's not. So in order to do this, you have to put the front, you have to tighten up the front strap first, and then get one bolt in it, and then bring the tank up and try to get the other bolt started. That's what I'm doing now. So hopefully next time I come back, I'll actually have the tank installed. Everything else is good. The hoses are on, the wires connected except for the ground. I got to figure out where to ground that. And then I've got to also hook up this part. But I'm getting there. It's 8 o'clock at night, or 7 o'clock at night. I started around 11 o'clock this morning. I'm getting pretty pooped, but this tank is going to go in tonight, and this truck is going to start. Mark my words. I probably look pretty dirty. There's nothing but dust and dirt from sanding and stuff all along and underneath the truck, and it's just a big dust bowl down there. So let me get busy and see if I can get this thing finished up. Here we go. Here we go, folks. Give it a shot. First time running on its own since 2008. And it sounds pretty darn good for being sitting that long. Sounding really good. Folks, as you saw, it ran on its own. It runs pretty darn good too. It doesn't sound like it's missing a beat. It took a little bit of time to get the gas from the tank up to the throttle bodies, but once it did, it actually started up and idled without, as if it was just built yesterday. It will, of course, need a tune-up. I'll probably need to change the wires in the cap and rotor and spark plugs and stuff because it has been sitting for so long. But really, amazingly, it's running really well. Like I said, I really don't think that this truck has run on its own since 2008, 2009. So 14, 15 years. I'm amazed. And anyway, thank you guys for coming along for the ride and bearing with me on this project. There's Still some things I need to button up. I couldn't quite find a good ground, so I had to run a wire all the way up here to get a ground for the fuel pump. But it's just a matter of just finding a hole and putting a screw in somewhere. And then there's a couple of the bolts in the tank that I have to get lined up. It gave me quite a fit, but I got to the point where I said, I want to hear this thing run tonight, and I got it running. And that's the important thing. So again, thanks for coming along for the ride. Please like and subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this old truck starting up. It's a kind of a good testament to good old Chevy motors. I mean, this is just a 305, but the darn thing started up and ran like a top. I didn't let it run too long because I still haven't got this topped off, but it is not leaking so far. But at least now I know that the engine's relatively healthy. It didn't sound bad at all. I didn't hear any valve train noise, no knocking. But it will need an oil change and things of this nature before I could actually put it on the road. So again, I'm going to call this one a wrap. And thanks for coming along for the ride.